Alright, so welcome back to the channel. We are doing some more testing on the race truck. Last video you guys saw was on Wednesday. The truck was doing pretty well. We had some tire issues. Since that video, we put a new set of tires on it and basically touched nothing else. So the goal again with this test session is learn the truck. So that's what we're going to try to do. I hope you guys enjoy it and you get to see us make some pretty good progress in this video, as well as have a good time and possibly some carnage.
Volcanoes out of Goreville, staging up the big Maverick diesel Dodge here on the left-hand side.
Oh, baby.
Science and math.
Almost like 2 a team with Phil.
White pony on the left side, silver pony on the right.
Me and Philip's truck are so much alike, it's retarded. He said his truck on that fuel quantity runs 30s. Like when I say that fuel quantity, I'm talking like 400 milligrams goes 530. So if I put it to 425 and I turn the third kit on, it's gonna go like 19 or 20.
Yeah, it's way happier. What was my reaction? Just out of curiosity.
05. So not 048, but I'm talking about that.
Okay. I don't want to hear it until you got a 006.
What about a 002? The wrong way though.
Wait, what?
That's, I mean, really, for what we have in it, that's like
nothing.
no power.
It's not trying.
That's 1,050 or like 1,075 microseconds average. It's fluctuating because it's riding the smoke map the whole pass. And then that's a 125 jet on the first stage. And then I think I put a 093 on the second stage. So now I need to turn the third kit on and put it to 425 and go teens, and then we can stop. And then we'll just go to ODSS and start turning it up on a Ralph track. It's like it's not a bad track, but Ralph tracks are definitely, there's a reason why he travels the country doing what he does. Did you hear it catch itself and limit fuel?
I thought you pedaled it.
No, I didn't pedal it. It caught itself. I don't know if when it the third kit came on, if it like made enough power, it didn't shift, because it like delayed the shift, and then it like laid over and shifted and picked back up, because the half track time was a 1/10 and a half faster.
So what was the 60 foot?
131, but instead of being 357, it was 348 half track.
Staging up the big Dodge diesel.
what that was about. It felt good. It just didn't go
What
fast.
was your 60 foot?
A fucking 143.
Oh my. What?
Like it felt way better
Oh,
than.
you were deep.
Yeah, I know, but did you see my intentional leave late? I still went 041.
Oh,
Or
really?
42, yeah. I don't know, man. That's weird. It felt good.
It looked good.
It didn't lay over like it did.
But it had like a.
But the 2.3 still is like either way too far, which I can move it. I mean, like, that's the slowest we've been to half track all day. I mean, we could be getting low on nitrous.
All right, so that was our Friday night test session. So the last video you guys saw was Wednesday. And then we went to our Friday test and tune before they had a race on Saturday. We made 3 passes. The first pass went a 536. That was 400 milligrams, and then the 2 stages, which we talked about, with the first stage was a 125 jet, and the second was an 093. 400 milligrams for reference on my truck is about 875 microseconds. So not a lot of fuel, not a lot of nitrous compared to what we normally run. So to go a 536 at 135 is pretty good. I'm happy with that. Going to the next pass, I moved it to 425 milligrams, I believe it was, and I turned the third kit on, which was another 093, I believe at the time. Might have been a 125 as well. And I just pulsed it at the very back half of the track. But on that pass, we forgot to top off the fuel. So instead of being here, we were like here, and there was enough fuel slosh that we lost fuel pressure. You couldn't see it very well, but fuel pressure got low enough that I think we got an air pocket. We actually lost rail, and then it came back, it recovered. So we went 537 at 132, I think it was, that we lost that much mile per hour, and we were a 10th faster at half track. So a 10th at half track is not a 10th in the 8th. Generally, a rule of thumb is a 10th in the 60 foot is 2/10 in the 8th. A 10th at half track is a 10th and a half or so. So rough math would have put us at like a 521. Anyway, so we topped the fuel off, and we go back to make another pass, and we ended up going, I think it was a 547 at 136. And then we realized we were out of nitrous. So I looked at the log. We started the run at 875, and we ended at like 575 on bottle pressure, which is incredibly low. And then we weighed the bottles, and there was like 3 pounds in each bottle or something stupid. So they were basically empty, and that was our fault. We made 5 passes on Wednesday, and then those, so it was just, yeah, we need to change them more often. We started, as we started using more nitrous, it got worse. So anyways, it was overall a good test session. Again, we're still at this point, we are focused on making the Motec work, understanding how to control it, making sure nitrous systems come on, do what they're supposed to do, trying to figure out where we want shift points and lock up. Our 2-3 shift was pretty high, we're getting up 6,000 RPM. It's still making power, but in the truck, driving it, you can feel the truck pulling hard, and then as you start getting closer to 6, it lays over, and then it shifts, it picks back up. So again, overall, good test session on Friday, and then we're gonna roll into Saturday and test some more.
The next day.
Do we have buy round or no? Do you know?
What?
Do we have buy round or anything?
It's just testing.
Oh, okay.
They called it qualifying, but we're not qualifying. I think it's just testing. It'll be chip draw.
Okay. All right, what has happened?
We got the buy. There's only 3 cars, so.
Yeah, I mean.
There's a S10 Pro Charge, and then we got a nitrous Fox body, and they let me draw first, and I was like digging around. I'm like, I'm gonna grab the middle chip, and it was the buy. So
Yeah.
we'll just see what it does. They'll run, and then they'll probably hold off for another 2 rounds again because they're gonna want most of mine at the same time.
I have a good feeling about this. It's cool out.
Track just got
Track
dragged.
just got dragged.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really care as long as it's still running the track. It's nice to look down and see RPM.
Yeah. It has like has a red thing when it gets to when it makes too much RPM.
Yeah.
Screen turns red.
I actually don't know if it does.
It does. I can see it in the GoPro.
I don't.
Over here, it turns.
I don't pay attention to what's happening on that.
I need those gloves.
That information is irrelevant.
All right, Dan. Right lane. Give her a twirl here. I mean, if you want, we could tow it back, but I mean,
tow it back. There ain't nothing wrong with it. I don't think. I think if it's anything, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's starting to get valves. I don't know. I mean, I saw the sparks and was like, I ain't letting out of it.
yeah.
You got the strap?
Yeah, I got a strap with us. We can do a spool up when we get back and
Yeah,
just
be
make
right.
sure that.
All right, so Saturday, we rolled in Saturday late afternoon, and so they had a they had a small tire race that they were having, which is supposed to be 28s. We typically run 28s, but we switched back to 29.5s when we went to the Hoosiers, just for the simple fact that for at least a while we're gonna be running ODSS and stuff where the small tire thing doesn't matter, and I'd like to have the advantage of a little bit more traction with the setup. They're a little bit more forgiving. So we had a couple guys come up to us that were racing. There was only 2 people, and they're like, hey, do you want to run a small tire? You know, you look like you'd probably run pretty decent with us. And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We don't care. We like racing. The truck seemed to be doing well, and we're like, we might as well run it. What's the worst that's going to happen? We race instead of just making test passes. So we make the first test pass of the day, and this is actually a somewhat new issue. I feel like Mitchell's is doing it a bit. So what we decided to do with this one moving forward to fix this is the problem we're having is the first pass of the day, it goes out and lockup is like super delayed, like a second and a half. So instead of locking, I don't know, middle of second gear, it didn't even lock till we went into third gear. So the first pass of the day, we didn't have lockup till third gear. The truck only went 547, but we picked up almost 4 mile per hour. Our mile per hour was 139.3, I think, and the previous day it was 136. So we're 3 and some change mile per hour gain, even with the lockup issue. So that was promising. So then we move into what they called qualifying for the small tire race. And so basically it was just a test pass, the boards weren't on. We went up, ran it through lockup just to make sure it was good. And in the previous, on Friday, we had said that had everything gone the way it was supposed to, on the pass when we had the rail pressure issue, It should have gone a low 20. My math was saying 521. It went 523 at 141, or like 141.4 or something. So again, picked up almost 2 miles per hour, and now we're deep in the 20s, almost in the teens, and we still have almost no fuel. We're at like 1,050 microseconds, and we're on a 125, an 093, and a 125 jet. So again, that's, to some people that may sound like a lot of nitrous. Compared to what we used to run on like our 5.0 pass, it's not much at all. So again, everything's looking really good. It's working the way it's supposed to. We go and we trip draw, and we end up getting the buy, which you guys saw. So we go out and we're like, all right, let's, I think I had tried to turn up the fuel, and I think I ended up hitting a limit that I forgot to change. So we had the same fuel with just a little bit more nitrous. I went from the 125, 093, 125. I flipped those two, and I went 125, 125, 093. So I had more nitrous on sooner. So it's not that we necessarily had more, I just had more sooner. The truck went out, went 523 again. We were a little bit slow to half track, I believe it was, and I think the 60 foot was a little bit slow, but we went 143. Again, we're just trying to learn the system, and if I can see increases in mile per hour, I know we're making increases in horsepower, so we can always go back and work on that 60 foot and work on the half track. But until we can get the truck to go out the back, you know, at least 145 is where that's my like comfort zone of being, knowing that I can go 490s or 5.0s, 145 is my mile per hour I'd like to hit. I do think we can probably go 150 or so out the back, but again, we're just trying to take what I would call baby steps. I mean, they're 100 horsepower increases as we go. So anyways, second pass, we go 523 at 143, and about 400 feet, we lost the exhaust manifold gasket, which you saw in the video. It was pretty spectacular. We thought we broke who knows what. I was thinking valve, turbo, piston, who knows. The way it happened, it looked like a nitrous car when it loses a piston. It was the 4th of July a little early. So we brought it back, did some inspecting. Crankcase pressure sensor said we didn't have any pressure. We could see that we didn't have any blow by. The engine sounded smooth and happy, so we knew there wasn't any valves that were an issue, because if we'd have got a valve, it would have sounded terrible or not started possibly. So start looking around, rev it up a few times, and then I just happened to catch a glance by the exhaust manifold. The piece of the T6 gasket was just sticking up out from between the manifold and the turbine housing, and then the bottom side, it was all out. The only thing we can come up with is when a tire shook on the dyno, we rattled quite a few bolts loose, and I'm guessing that the nuts that hold the turbo on rattled loose, and then just throughout testing, you know, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, they just found their way off of the truck, because we were missing one stud and nut completely, another nut, and then the other two were both loose, so it was literally barely hanging on. So overall, really good day testing Saturday. We should have gone to the final. We do know that we had 10 mile per hour on the guy that we were supposed to race, so we in theory would have won. Obviously, racing is racing, so congrats to the guy in the S10 that won. I know his truck's been pretty quick. He's got a new setup he's learning as well. So overall, truck's awesome. We're doing a good job. We're getting ready to work on putting Everett in the truck. That's going to be when we get to Bowling Green. He's going to do his licensing passes Thursday before the ODSS race, and then we'll race Friday and Saturday, unless something happens and Everett gets scared or he doesn't get his pro license done or something crazy. If that happens, that means something broke, because at this point we're 12 passes in on this and we're like 40 on Mitchell's, and we're doing pretty good. Both transmissions are fresh, we're ready to rock, so hopefully we see you guys there. This video should be out before we go. If it's not, I'm gonna fight Everett. Trying to do better with GoPros, more angles. We're gonna try to get like a 360 GoPro to put on top of the cab so we can get a 360 view, or maybe even suspension, stuff like that. But overall, we're trying to do a good job. Hopefully you guys can maybe share these videos, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, because we're really trying to put some good content out, and more views is more better. So appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.